Good morning, students. So, next, after the breathing and exchange of gases, the next lesson is neural control and coordination. So, before I start the neural system, let us introduce this lesson to you. So, here, what is coordination? So, before you come across with a coordination, you know that in our body there are the different organs, and these organs collectively working for the same function and forms the organ system. For example, now you have come across with the respiratory system. So it is formed with the different organs. Yes or no? Okay. So here all these organs or the structures are helping for the respiration. So all together they are called as the respiratory system or the respiratory organs. Then like that, the digestive system. Here the digestive system, it is consisting of the food pipe, the mouth, food pipe, then stomach, intestine. All these are the different organs but helping for the same cause, that is to bring the digestion in our body. So all together it is called the digestive system. So these organ system will be functioning in our body to maintain the homeostasis. Then what is the homeostasis? Homeostasis means it is the ability of the body to maintain the stability in internal environment. Means here the outside environment will be changing with the temperature, acidity, pH will be changing according to the weather condition, but the same will not be changing in our body. Why? Because we have that homeostasis, where our body is having the capacity to maintain the internal environment. So here let us understand what is coordination. I gave the example of the digestive system and I gave the example of the respiratory system. All are the different organs but coordinating, helping, forming or collectively working for the same cause to bring the respiration or the digestion. That's why it is called the digestive system and the respiratory system. So here these organs, they are interacting together. They are going to interact with one another and bring the function in our body. So this process of interacting with two or more organs to bring the function in the body, that is only called as the coordination. So coordination is the process through which two or more organs interact and complement the functions of one another. Then here I want to give the example, that is when a person is going to do the physical exercises. So during this physical exercises, you know that more amount of the energy will be required for the muscles, because during the physical exercises the body will be given work. Means the muscles will be working or they will be doing their activity where the muscles require the energy. So to bring or to provide the energy to the muscles, digestive system is required, and here these digestive system will be converting the macromolecules to the micromolecules, where our blood can easily absorb, our tissues can easily absorb the energy, and this energy will be given to the muscles, where these muscles, when they get the energy, they are going to perform, they are going to function. So here when a person does the physical exercises, the need of energy gets increased as there will be increased muscular movement, means muscle movement will be more. So to do the muscle movement, the muscles require the energy. So this energy it will be given by the digestive system, and this energy will be carried to the muscles by the blood. Okay, then the neural system provides an organized network of point to point connections for a quick coordination. For example, now when you touch any hot object, again you will start holding that continuously, you will not hold it continuously, suddenly you are going to take back the hand. So how quick the movement will be, how the quick the our responses will be. So this response, this quick response or the quick coordination will be brought by the our neural system, that is our nervous system. Then here in our body there are two main systems, one is nervous system and another one is endocrine system. Endocrine system means here mainly it includes the endocrine glands. So you have already come across what are the endocrine glands, you have come across with the exocrine glands and the endocrine glands. In structural organization in the animals, the secretion from the endocrine glands it is called as hormones, whereas the secretion of the exocrine glands it is called as the mucus, juices, salivary amylase, etc. So here the endocrine system it is consisting of mainly the endocrine glands. The secretion of this endocrine glands it is called as the hormones. So these hormones they are going to bring the chemical integration. Okay, so about this you will be studying in the next lesson. Okay, so let us concentrate on the neural system. So here the neural system of the animals it is composed of the cells called the neurons. And here remember the neural system, every organism so is controlled, every organism movement is controlled by the nervous system or the neural system. But mainly in the lower organisms we are observing the presence of the neural system from the phylum Coelenterata, because in case of the lower organism the neural system is simply in the simple manner it is organized in case of the lower invertebrates. In case of Hydra you can see the neural system which is composed of a network of neurons, means only you can see a thread like structures called as the neurons will be controlling the movement of the whole body of the Hydra. So this neural system it is composed of the highly specialized cells called as the neurons. These neurons will help in detecting, receiving and transmitting the different kinds of the stimuli. Then when you compare the Hydra with the insects, that is the phylum Arthropoda, there you can see compared to the Hydra the neural system in case of the Arthropoda or in the insects it is complex, because in the insects it is consisting of the neural system, it is consisting of the number of ganglia and the neural tissue. But compared to all the animals in the animal kingdom, the vertebrates have more developed and the complex neural system. So let us study the human neural system. The human neural system it is divided into two parts as the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, or you can use even the neural system also. So this central nervous system it mainly includes the brain and spinal cord. So this central nervous system it is the site for processing and controlling of the information. So here you know what is the main in our body, the information processing and the controlling of our body is mainly done through the central nervous system, which is consisting or which includes the brain and the spinal cord. The second part of the neural system, that is the peripheral neural system, it is comprising of the nerves which are associated with the central nervous system. Means the nerves which are arising from the brain and the spinal cord are together forming the peripheral neural system. Then the nerves or the nerve fibers which are considered under the peripheral nervous system are of two types. One is afferent fibers and the second one is efferent fibers. What is the difference between afferent and efferent fibers? These afferent fibers, they will be transmitting the impulses from the tissues to the central nervous system. The afferent nerve fibers will be transmitting the impulses from the tissues or from the organs to the central nervous system. It means the afferent nerve fibers will be carrying the impulses towards the central nervous system, whereas efferent fibers will be transmitting the impulses from the central nervous system to the concerned tissues or the organs. It means afferent fibers will be carrying the impulses towards the central nervous system, whereas the efferent fibers will be carrying the impulses away from the central nervous system towards the concerned tissues or the organs. Then the same peripheral neural system, it is divided into the two divisions, that is the somatic neural system and autonomic neural system. So this somatic neural system, again it is transmitting the impulses from the central nervous system to the skeletal muscles. The autonomic neural system will be transmitting the impulses from the central nervous system to the involuntary organs and the smooth muscles of the body. So here one thing you should remember, the peripheral nervous system, which is divided into two divisions, making the parts as the somatic neural system and the autonomic neural system. So this somatic neural system, it will be carrying the impulses from the central nervous system to the only skeletal muscles. Why only to the skeletal muscles? Then which are skeletal muscles? The muscles which are present in your the hands, legs, that is the forelimb and the hind limbs. So here these skeletal muscles will be working on the guidance of the your peripheral nervous system through the somatic neural system. So here the skeletal muscles which are working on the commands of the somatic neural system, it brings voluntary function in our body. Means, for example, if you want to walk, if you decide to walk, then only your muscles will start their movement. Means they will bring the voluntary function in your body. Whereas the muscles which are working under the demand of autonomic neural system, where the autonomic neural system will be transmitting the impulses only to the involuntary organs and the smooth muscles of the body. So here when the impulses are coming from the autonomic neural system, it makes the involuntary organs and the smooth muscles to work in the involuntary condition. For example, let us take the digestion. That is the digestive system. Now sometimes your favorite food also will be given, sometimes which one you won't like that much, so that kind of food also will be given to you. But you will be eating, or sometimes what happens, your favorite food only will be given to have and you will start eating. Yes, okay, once you start eat, you find the taste is not that much good. Then what you will do? Can you bring that food back? Means can you throw it out? Once your food enters to the food pipe, can you bring it back again to the mouth, thinking that that food which has entered your food pipe is not good? Can you bring it? You can't bring it. Why you can't bring it? Because the movement of the food, once the food enters to the food pipe, that will not be under the control of the somatic neural system, because here the impulses to send the food from the mouth to the food pipe, it will be under the guidance of autonomic neural system, where when the impulses are coming from the autonomic neural system, they will be under involuntary, means they won't work under the guidance of your demands. Here, once the food enters to your food pipe, you cannot bring it back because they are involuntary movements. For example, then same thing in case of digestion, that is when the breakdown of food is taking place in your stomach. Can you stop that breakdown? You can't stop, because the impulses, they are coming to break this food, it is coming from the autonomic neural system. The impulses which are coming from the autonomic neural system will bring the involuntary function. And remember, these impulses from the autonomic will be sent only to the smooth muscles. The impulses from the somatic neural system will be coming only to the skeletal muscles. When the impulses are coming from the somatic neural system to the skeletal muscles, it brings a voluntary function. When the impulses are coming from the autonomic neural system to the smooth muscles, it brings a involuntary function. Is it clear? Then the autonomic neural system, further again it is classified into two types, that is sympathetic neural system and the parasympathetic neural system. Okay, so here, so this is of the human neural system. That is human neural system, it is consisting of central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system, it includes the brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system, it includes the nerve fibers which are coming from the brain and spinal cord. But again, this peripheral nervous system is divided into two divisions as somatic neural system and autonomic neural system. Then again, autonomic neural system is divided into sympathetic and the parasympathetic. So next, let us study the structure of the neuron. Here the neuron is considered as structural and functional unit of the neural system or the nervous system. So this neuron, it is the microscopic structure which is composed of the three major parts, that is the cell body. Can you see the labeling? Cell body, then the dendrites, the tentacles like or the hair like, the fibers like structures, what you can observe, they are the dendrites. And the third one is the axon. So the neuron, which are considered as the structural and functional unit of the nervous system, it is the microscopic structure which is consisting of the three major parts, that is the cell body, dendrites and the axon. So here let us study one by one. The cell body, it contains cytoplasm, but this cytoplasm is with the typical, means in the cytoplasm there are presence of the cell organelles as well as there are presence of the granular bodies. So the cell body, it is consisting of the cell organelles and the granular bodies. So the granular bodies which are present in the cytoplasm are called as the Nissel's granules. Okay, so here one more thing you should make a note. They have given the spelling, that is the Nissels, it is actually the wrong. It should be NISSL apostrophe S, Nissel's granules. So what are Nissel's granules? The granular bodies which are present in the cytoplasm are called and mainly the cytoplasm which is present in the cell body. It is called the Nissel's granules. Then from the cell body you can see the arising of, from the cell body there is the arising of fibers and certain projection like structures, and these projections also will be consisting of the Nissel's granules, and the fibers or the projections which are arising from the cell body are only called as the dendrites. Here remember, dendrites are having a very important function, that is these dendrites will be carrying the impulses towards the cell body. Means this dendrites helps in the transmission of the impulses, but that impulses will be carried towards the cell body. Means one neuron is helping. Now that one neuron, consider the A neuron, it has got one impulse. So that impulse from the A neuron will be collected by the dendrites and it will be carried towards the cell body. Is it clear? Then next, so cell body over, then the dendrites also I have told. The next is the axon. So here the axon is the long distal tube, the long fiber, the distal end which is arising from the cell body, and here this axon, it is terminating with the bulb like structures called as the synaptic knob. And remember, these synaptic knobs are consisting of the synaptic vesicles. Inside the synaptic vesicles there is a presence of the chemicals called as neurotransmitters. So the axon is terminating with the bulb like structures called as synaptic knob, and each synaptic knob is consisting of the synaptic vesicles inside which there is presence of the chemicals called as neurotransmitters. Then the axon also has a very important function. This axon will be carrying or will be transmitting the impulse away from the cell body. Okay, to where it carries, when it is carrying the axon, when it is carrying the impulse away from the cell body, where it is going to take place, where it is sending, where it is transmitting that impulse when it is carrying away from the cell body. So about that in detail you will be studying in the next topic, that is the synaptic transmission of impulses. In that part you will be studying. So now as a structure of a neuron you should remember, the axon ends with a bulb-like structures called a synaptic knob, inside which there is presence of the synaptic vesicle, and it is consisting of the chemicals called as neurotransmitters. So this axon, it helps in the transmission of the impulse, but this impulse will be carried away from the cell body. Then the neuron is differentiated into different types on the basis of the number of axon and the dendrites. Okay, so before we go for the next, that is the division of the neuron, here you can see three more labelings, that is the Schwann cell, node of Ranvier and the myelin sheath. The axon, it is the long fiber which is enclosed or covered by the sheath called as myelin sheath. So this myelin sheath, it is not continuous, it is going to form or it is being interrupted. So that interruption, the point where the myelin sheath is interrupted, that point is called as the node of Ranvier. So inside this myelin sheath, there is the presence of the Schwann cell. So here, what are the use of this Schwann cell or the myelin sheath? You will come to know when you study the generation and the conduction of impulses topic. So as per this topic, you should study only the structure of the neuron. Okay. So I have told next, that is this neuron, it is divided into different types on the basis of the number of axons and the dendrites. So on the basis of the number of axons and the dendrites, you can see there are three types, that is multipolar, bipolar and unipolar neuron. Multipolar neuron means the name itself tells multi means more. So here the multipolar neuron will be having one axon and two or more dendrites. Then where these multipolar neurons are present, these multipolar neurons, they are present or they are found in the cerebral cortex. Then the next one, bipolar neuron. So this bipolar neuron, they are the neurons with only one axon and one dendrite. So these bipolar neurons, they are found in the retina of the eyes. Then the unipolar neuron, these are the neurons which are having only one axon and with the cell body, means here no dendrites in case of unipolar neurons. But these unipolar neuron, they are also present only in the embryonic stage. Again, the neuron is classified into two types on the basis of axon. Axon's myelin sheath, that is myelinated and non-myelinated. The myelinated nerve fibers are developed with the Schwann cells which forms the myelin sheath around the axon, means the axon which is surrounded by the myelin sheath are developed with the Schwann cells. Okay, so this I have told, the myelin sheath, it is not continuous, it is going to get interrupted around the axon, forming the gaps, and that gap is called as the node of Ranvier. Then these myelinated nerve fibers, it is found in the spinal and cranial nerves, and the non-myelinated nerve fiber, it will be enclosed by the Schwann cell, but these Schwann cell will not be forming the myelin sheath around the axon. Okay, so this non-myelinated nerve fibers, they are present in autonomous and the somatic neural system. What is the difference between myelinated and the non-myelinated? Myelinated nerve fibers means they are consisting of the Schwann cells, where the Schwann cells will be producing the axon myelin sheath, and in case of non-myelinated, there is presence of the Schwann cell, but it does not form the myelin sheath around the axon. So these myelinated nerve fibers are present in the spinal and the cranial nerves, and the non-myelinated will be present in the autonomous and the somatic neural system.